You think you know what evil looks like. You think monsters have horns and red eyes. Let me tell you something, child. The devil wears a tired face. He has hungry eyes. He makes promises that sound like salvation. And when you shake his hand, you do not feel the blood already drying on his palm. My name is Mehmet Yilmaz. For 30 years I was a ghost in Istanbul, a name whispered in the dark corners of Beyoğlu, Kadıköy, Zeytinburnu. They called me Kara Mehmet, Black Mehmet, the man who took everything from the Russians, the man who left bodies in the Bosphorus like other men leave footprints in sand. But before I was a monster, I was just a boy, a hungry, desperate boy who made one choice, one single choice that killed everyone I ever loved. My mother, my brothers, my sister, my wife, my children, all of them gone because of me. You want to hear this story? You think it will be exciting, dramatic, like the films, and maybe it is, but I warn you now, this story does not have heroes, it does not have a happy ending, it has only blood, regret, and one small fragile thing that might be redemption, or might be nothing at all. It begins in 1965. Istanbul was different then. The city was hungry just like me, half of it still dreaming of the Ottoman glory days, the other half crawling towards a future we could not see. And in the slums of Tarlabaşı, in a room so small you could touch both walls with your arms spread wide, I was dying slowly, not from disease, from poverty, from helplessness, from watching my mother cough blood into rags she washed in cold water because we could not afford new ones. Hey, I was 25 years old. I had applied to 37 factories in 4 months, 37 rejections. You know what they told me? They said Tarlabaşı boys are thieves, troublemakers, not worth the risk. So I would return to that room, to my mother lying on a mattress we found in the street, and I would tell her tomorrow I will find something. Tomorrow everything changes. And she would smile at me with her dying eyes and say, God provides, my son, God provides. But God was not providing. God was watching, maybe judging. I do not know. I stopped asking him questions after the 3rd funeral. That March, I had not eaten in 2 days. I gave my bread to my mother. She thought I'd already eaten. I was good at lying even then. I walked to the docks in Karaköy because walking made the hunger hurt less. And in a tea house that smelled of smoke and old men's regrets, I sat with one empty glass, trying to make it last 3 hours so the owner would not throw me out into the cold. Then Kamal found me. Kamal Arslan, my friend since we were 8 years old, stealing apples from the market and running until our lungs burned. But Kamal's family had climbed out of Tarlabaşı. His father got a government job. They moved to Sicily. Kamal wore clean clothes now. He had meat in his belly. And when he saw me that day, I saw something in his eyes I had never seen before. Pity. It burned worse than the hunger. He said his uncle ran security for warehouses in Zeytinburnu. They needed night guards. The pay was 400 lira a month. 400. I was making nothing. My mother needed medicine that cost 200 lira. The choice was simple. The choice was survival. So I said yes. I said yes without asking questions, without thinking about what kind of warehouses need armed guards at night, without wondering why they paid so much for such simple work. Ignorance. Ignorance is the first ingredient in every tragedy. Kamal's uncle was named Tahir, 50-something years old, gray beard, eyes that had seen things but were trying to forget them. He gave me a uniform 3 sizes too big, a heavy baton, and a radio that crackled with static. He said, watch the gate, write down truck numbers. If you see something suspicious, call me. Do not be a hero. Do not ask questions about what is inside the containers. I nodded like I understood, but I understood nothing. The first 3 nights were peace, boring peace. I stood at that gate for 12 hours, watching trucks come and go, thinking about what I would buy with my first paycheck. Medicine for my mother, of course, real bread, maybe eggs, maybe if there was enough left, a new blanket because winter was coming and our blanket had more holes than fabric. Small dreams, the dreams of a man who has nothing. The fourth night, everything changed. It was late, past 2 in the morning. The docks were quiet except for the wind coming off the Bosphorus, carrying the smell of salt and diesel. I was walking the perimeter half asleep when I heard metal scraping against metal. It came from Warehouse 7, the big one at the end, the one Tahir told me to avoid unless there was an emergency. I should have called Tahir immediately. I should have stayed at my post. But something in me, some stupid proud thing, wanted to prove I was worth the 400 lira. So I walked towards that sound, slowly. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it would crack my ribs. The warehouse door was open, just slightly, just enough to see shadows moving inside. 4 men, maybe 5. They had crowbars. They were breaking open shipping containers and loading boxes into a van. I froze. Every instinct told me to run, but my legs would not move. I stood there like an idiot, watching them work, and then one of them turned. He saw me standing in the doorway, silhouetted against the security lights. Our eyes met. For 1 second, maybe less, we both just stared. Then he shouted something in Russian. I did not speak Russian then, but I understood the tone. It meant, "We have a problem." He came at me with a knife. I saw the blade catch the light. I did not think. I swung my baton. It was pure panic, pure survival instinct. The baton hit his head with a sound I will never forget, a crack like stepping on a walnut. He dropped, just dropped like someone cut his strings, and I stood there staring at him, at the blood starting to pool beneath his skull, thinking, I just killed a man, I just killed a man. But he was not dead, not yet. He was breathing, unconscious but breathing, and that gave me 1 second to think. 1 second to press the radio button and scream for Tahir, to scream that there were intruders, armed intruders, and then the other men were running at me, 3 of them. I ran. I am not ashamed to say it. I ran like a coward, but I ran towards the alarm, not away from it. I hit that button with my fist, and the whole compound exploded with sound and light. Tahir came with 4 other guards. The thieves tried to escape in their van. I do not know what possessed me. Maybe adrenaline, maybe stupidity, but I threw my baton through the driver's window. The van swerved, it hit a fence post and crumpled like paper. 2 of the thieves ran into the dark and disappeared. 2 others, including the man I hit, were caught. The police came, I gave a statement. I did not sleep that night or the next night. I kept seeing that moment, the knife, the blood, the realization that I could hurt someone, that I could kill. 3 days later, I was home. I had bought medicine for my mother with my first week's pay. Real medicine from a real pharmacy, not the cheap substitutes from the street vendors. She was sitting up for the first time in a month. She was eating soup I made from chicken bones I boiled 3 times to get every bit of flavor. She was smiling, and I thought, this is it. This is the turning point. We are going to survive. Then someone knocked on the door. I opened it. Kamal was there, but he was not alone. Behind him stood a man who looked like he owned the air around him. Expensive suit, silver hair, eyes like a shark that has tasted blood and wants more. 2 bodyguards flanked him, big men, silent men, the kind of men who break bones for a living. Kamal looked nervous, more nervous than I had ever seen him. He said, "This is Mr. Hakan Demir. He wants to talk to you." Hakan Demir. Even now, speaking his name feels like spitting poison. He walked into our tiny apartment like he was touring a museum, looking at our poverty with something that was not quite pity, more like recognition. He sat on our 1 chair without asking permission. My mother, bless her soul, pulled her headscarf tight and watched him with ancient eyes that knew danger when it walked through the door. Hakan spoke softly, politely. He said, "The hero of Warehouse 7. The men you stopped were stealing from me. Those containers held merchandise worth 200,000 lira. I did not understand. 200,000, the number was impossible. What merchandise?" I asked. He smiled, just smiled, and said, "Merchandise that makes men rich. Merchandise that keeps the powerful powerful. Details you do not need to know yet. Yet, that word should have warned me, but it did not." He put an envelope on our table. It was thick, he said. 20,000 lira, a thank you gift. But I am here to offer you more than money. I need men like you, men with courage, men with hunger. Work for me, not as a warehouse guard, as part of my security team. You will protect my interests, my shipments, my people. The pay is 4,000 lira a month. Respect, power, a future. 4,000 lira. I was making 400. My mother's medicine cost 200 every month. The rent was 100. That left 100 for food, for clothes, for everything else. We were drowning, and this man was offering me a lifeboat. I should have asked what protecting his interests meant. I should have walked away. But when you are drowning, you do not question the hand that pulls you up. You just grab it. My mother spoke. Her voice was weak but firm. She said, "No, please, this man is danger. I can see it. Do not take his money. Do not take his offer. We will survive. God will provide." And I looked at her pale face, at her shaking hands, at the blood-stained rags she tried to hide from me, and I thought, God has provided. He has provided this opportunity. So I turned to Hakan Demir, and I said, "When do I start?" He smiled, a satisfied smile, like a fisherman who has just hooked something big. He said, "Tomorrow, I will send a car. Welcome to the family." And he left, just like that, with his bodyguards and his expensive cologne and his shark eyes. Kamal stayed behind. He looked at me like I had just signed my death warrant. He said, "Brother, do you know who that was? Hakan Demir runs half the smuggling operations in Istanbul. Drugs, weapons, stolen goods. He has connections to the Bratva, the triads, everyone. This is not security work. This is the underworld. This is blood." I said, "I know." And Kamal said, "Then why? Why would you do this?" And I told him the truth. I said, "Because I am tired of being powerless. Tired of watching my mother die slowly because I cannot afford real doctors. Tired of having nothing. Tired of being nothing. If this is the price of survival, then I will pay it." Kamal left. He looked at me one last time before he walked out the door, and he said something I did not understand until years later. He said, "The problem with selling your soul is that you do not know the price until the bill comes due. And brother, the bill always comes due." That night I could not sleep. I lay on our mattress listening to my mother breathe. In and out, each breath a small victory against death. And I thought about the envelope on the table. 20,000 lira, more money than I'd seen in my entire life. Enough to pay 3 months' rent in advance, enough to buy real food, enough to buy time. I told myself it was just a job, security work, protecting shipments, nothing illegal, nothing wrong. I was good at lying to others. I was even better at lying to myself. The next morning, a black Mercedes pulled up outside our building, a Mercedes, in Tarlabasi. People stopped and stared. Children ran alongside it, laughing and pointing. I kissed my mother's forehead. She was crying. She held my face in her hands and she said, "My son, my beautiful son, please, please do not do this. I can feel it. This path leads to darkness." And I kissed her hands. I said, "Anna, trust me. Everything will be fine. I will take care of you. I will take care of everything. I promise." That was the first promise I broke. There would be many more. I got into that Mercedes. The driver did not speak. He just drove through the narrow streets of Tarlabasi, past the crumbling Ottoman houses and the tea shops and the children playing football with a ball made of rags, through Taksim where the modern buildings were rising like glass giants, across the Galata Bridge where fishermen lined the rails, their lines disappearing into the gray water below, and finally to Nice Antasy, the wealthy neighborhood, the place where people like me did not belong. We stopped in front of a building that looked like a palace, marble, gold trim, a doorman in a uniform cleaner than anything I owned. The driver said, "Third floor, Mr. Demir is expecting you." I walked through that lobby feeling like an imposter. My shoes were held together with glue. My shirt had been washed so many times, the color had faded to nothing. But the doorman did not stop me. He just nodded and pointed to the elevator. An elevator. I had never been in an elevator before. The doors closed and I felt the floor rise beneath me, and for a moment I thought I was going to be sick. Then the doors opened and I stepped into a hallway that smelled of expensive wood and leather and money. Hakan's office was bigger than my entire apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Bosphorus, antique furniture, a desk made from dark wood that probably cost more than my mother's life, and Hakan sitting behind that desk, smoking a cigarette, watching me with those shark eyes. He did not stand. He just gestured to a chair and said, "Sit. We have much to discuss." He told me how his organization worked. He did not use the word criminal. He used entrepreneur, businessman, facilitator. He said there were goods that people wanted, goods that the government said they could not have, but people always find a way to get what they want. And he provided that way, for a price. His empire stretched from Istanbul to Moscow, from Ankara to Berlin. Cigarettes, alcohol, medicine, gold, and yes, other things. Things he did not name, things I did not ask about. He said my job was simple. Protect the shipments, protect his people, make sure transactions went smoothly. And if someone tried to interfere, if someone tried to take what was his, I would stop them by any means necessary. I asked what that meant. Any means necessary. He looked at me for a long moment, then he opened a drawer in his desk and pulled out a gun. A Browning high power, beautiful, deadly. He slid it across the desk towards me. He said, "It means you will do what needs to be done. Without hesitation, without regret. Can you do that? Can you be that man?" I picked up that gun. It was heavier than I expected, cold. I had never held a gun before. I did not know how to load it, how to aim it, how to kill with it. But I looked at Hakan Demir and I said, "Yes, I can be that man." And he smiled, that satisfied smile again. He said, "Good, because in 2 days you will have your first assignment, and this assignment will tell me everything I need to know about you. It will tell me if you are serious, if you are loyal, if you are willing to cross the line that most men cannot cross." I asked what the assignment was. He leaned back in his chair, blew smoke towards the ceiling, and he said, "There is a man. His name is Viktor Petrov. He works for the Kozlov Bratva, the Russian organization. They think they can operate in Istanbul without my permission. They think they can steal my customers, my territory. Viktor is a message. You will find him. You will hurt him. Not kill him. Not yet. Just hurt him badly enough that he runs back to his bosses and tells them what happens when you disrespect Hakan Demir. Do you understand?" I said I understood, but I did not. Not really. I did not understand what it meant to hurt someone on purpose, to look another human being in the eye and cause them pain, not because you are defending yourself, but because someone paid you to do it. I did not understand that I was about to cross a line, and once you cross that line, once you become the kind of person who hurts people for money, you can never go back. Never. That first assignment, I will tell you about it, but not tonight. Tonight I need you to understand something. I need you to understand that I was not born a monster. I was not born Kara Mehmet, the ghost of Istanbul. The man who left a trail of bodies across 3 decades. I was born a poor boy from Tarlabasi, a son who loved his mother, a friend who trusted too easily, a man who thought he was making a choice that would save his family. I did not know I was making a choice that would destroy them, that would destroy me. They say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. I used to think that was just a saying, a warning that does not really mean anything, but it is true. It is the truest thing I know, because I walked that road, every step of it, and I paved it myself, with love, with desperation, with the belief that I was protecting the people I cared about, and at the end of that road, there was nothing but graves and ghosts, and the memory of who I used to be before I picked up that gun. In 2 days, I found Viktor Petrov in a bar in Katakoy. I walked up behind him. I did not say a word. I just hit him with a tire iron. Once, twice, 3 times. He fell. He was bleeding, screaming, and I felt nothing. That is what frightens me most, looking back. Not that I hurt him, but that it was easy, that something in me enjoyed the power, the control, the knowledge that I could make another person afraid. I left him there, alive but broken. I went back to Håkan and told him it was done. He smiled. He handed me an envelope, 4,000 lira, my first month's pay. I took it home. I gave it to my mother. I said, "Look, Anna, everything is going to be fine now. We will move to a better apartment. You will see a real doctor. We will have everything we need." And she looked at the money like it was cursed. She said, "Where did this come from? What did you do?" And I lied. I said, "Security work, Anna. Just security work. Nothing bad, nothing wrong." But she knew. Mothers always know. She took the money because she had no choice. But she knew, and she looked at me with such sadness, such disappointment, like she was watching her son die while he was still breathing. I did not understand then. I understand now. That was the beginning, the first step down a path that would take 30 years to walk, a path that would cost me everything, everyone, and at the end of it, I would be sitting here, an old man, alone, haunted, telling you this story because it is the only thing I have left to give. A warning, a confession, a prayer that maybe someone will hear it and make a different choice. Next time I will tell you about the first man I killed. His name was Dmitri. He had a wife and 2 daughters. I know this because after I shot him, I went through his wallet. I do not know why. Maybe I wanted to know who he was. Maybe I wanted to see if knowing would make me feel something. It did not. I felt nothing. And that was when I knew I was lost. But that story is for another day. For now, just remember this. Evil does not announce itself. It does not arrive with thunder and darkness. It arrives quietly. It arrives looking like salvation. It arrives in the form of a man in an expensive suit, offering you everything you ever wanted. And by the time you realize what you have become, it is too late. The people you loved are gone, and you are left with nothing but the memory of who you used to be, before you said yes, before you picked up the gun, before you became the monster.